big punch in my heart. Grab any Austin novel and it will just blow this out of Mansfield Park. Hey guys, welcome back to the May wrap-up. First of all, Nocturne by Kazuo ISHIGURO, which was a 3-star, so these are 5 stories, or 5 short stories involving music and broken love or broken relationships. Rating was okay, but not stellar. The real thing is that most stories follow the same pattern, so you get a little info dump on a character from either himself or a character close to him, but they are always almost lost. To me, this is about unrealized potential, coming to terms with being average and seeing music just as a passion. And it's funny because I read back the manga series that was adapted into an anime earlier this year, and it was also about struggling to survive while playing music and following your passion despite all obstacles and not being like the traditional salaryman in Japan and not following the expectation of society. My best story was perhaps the title one, Nocturne. Mostly it was the longest, so we could develop the characters a bit more, and also it has the most, let's say, commentary. So it was mostly commentary on the jet set, but it wasn't anything new, so it was about plastic surgery and stuff. And it has kind of an indie vibe throughout the book, like everyone wants to survive alone by their sheer talent, without external help, and without accepting any compromise, so outside help or taking menial jobs to make ends meet or stuff like that. The weakest story was the number 2. So it's like a couple counseling to an old friend, and who is the most abused because he's not as successful as them, and they're making like fun of his taste and stuff. So yeah, overall it's enjoyable, but it's not a candidate for reread, and I didn't knock anything out of the park. We then have some French poetry, The Flowers of Evil by Charles Baudelaire. So it's a classic among French poetry. It's studied in high school level, and it was banned at the time of writing around 1860. It's a collection of sub-collections, so like the title one is only this long. The themes are love, women and sin, and with a real darkness and a great feel to it. I don't really know how well it translates in English, but I read the original French version and there's a lot to unpack. So you see that each big tab is a poem that I want to revisit someday, but I haven't had the time to do it yet. And overall it's really good. I think I hadn't read poetry since I left school, so it was a nice way to start again. Next up we also have a French classic, La Philosophie dans le Boudoir by Marquis de Sade. So it's another banned book because it is still overly sexual in nature, and it just doesn't got light references to sex. It's basically 200 pages of intercourse split by a satirical / philosophical pamphlet. I tried to track all the references, but there are just too many, and I went for anything above, like, let's say second base in purple, and you can see there's quite a lot. So we have the main character, Don Morcey. He's hella rotten. He's inflicting pain and abuse in weird ways. He has the most bizarre kinks and a view on life of pleasure in daily to sin, and to him, if you don't sin, well, you don't really live. And don't give this unless you're sure it won't be interpreted in a weird way, because this isn't. You should not give this to like your step family or anything like that. It has to be a 5-star because it's so up there and goes so far in deprivation and images and stuff that just for the hell of it, it's become almost funny. The Unbearable Likeness of Being by Milan Kundera was a 2-star, so this was the first letdown of the month. So I had a wonderful things about it. It was supposed to be so good, but yeah, it just lost me very early on, and then I was just bored. So I guess it maybe went over my head, but at some point it just felt like a run-of-the-mill romance story, and the writing was okay, but some of the observations at the end, like especially at the end of the chapters, like they felt really cheap and deeply fake. So yeah, I don't know, just didn't really click. Great Gatsby, need I say more? 5 stars. This is the first book that I ever read aloud, from cover to cover. It was a really cool experience. So you do have to pass the mental hurdle of speaking alone to yourself, especially if you have seen symbols and stuff. But it's a really rewarding experience and a way to enjoy literature, I think. So because it becomes almost like a play and not just a story. So reading aloud and kind of acting the scenes and living through the characters, it yields a more powerful response, and I think it creates a more lasting bond with the book, and that also really liked it. And it's maybe also due to being more mature as a reader, I don't know. It's maybe seeing new things that speak to you or resonate with you, like without being the main theme of the book or being just like a super quote for Instagram or anything. So it's mostly just a perfect description of a past experience or seeing how your current state or emotion or feelings put into words that you were not able to articulate before. So it's like precise, and those things like really resonate with you. And yeah, and that ending was really tough to read. I don't know why. It was big punch in my heart. So yeah, I liked it. I didn't like that it hurt me. So yeah, we get back to back 5 stars. So a new instant favorite. So it was very wonderfully written. Our main character is Stephen Didis, who is basically a fictionalized version of James Joyce as a young man. And once he ages and leaves school and tries to do things to himself, so things really kick off. He questions religion, his upbringing, his future, pleasure, women and stuff, and yeah, shoots up in greatness. And then the artistic sides come like also late in the book, with a demonstration of like Stephen / Joyce aesthetic ideas. So following on the aesthetic themes, so I read a collection of short essays on aesthetics by David Hume. It was a bit dry, and I haven't really gotten much out of it, so I won't really take too much time on this one, but I do recommend it if you like quotable stuff and delving into a theory of aesthetics and stuff. Next up, Graffiti Palace by AG Lombardo. It was the first book that he wrote, so I think it was a really good one for a first try, and can be really lenient with the small defects that he can have. And this is one. It's set in Los Angeles during the August 65 riots, and we follow Americo Monk, who is a street artist living in a sort of abandoned part of the city. He lives in a building complex made of old containers that are stuck on top of another and try to create like some sort of a city. And he goes through 2 journeys at the same time, so a physical one because he's trying to escape the violence and go back from his family, so it's like a trek through LA. And the other one is a lyrical one where he goes through a series of tasks inspired by the Odyssey with bosses, let's call them, taking characteristics from the original story. Basic idea was pretty good, but it feels a lot like a rinse and repeat with a heavy reliance on tropes for most of the side characters, so most of them are just here for 1 chapter, so they don't have a lot of screen time to develop, but often they're just like reference stars, like the Jamaican guy, the real photo witch from Louisiana, or like the triad guy selling dumplings and stuff. So the side characters are not that complex, like the main character is really well fleshed out and has a lot of personality, and he's a really interesting guy. Yeah, some of the social commentary can be a bit heavy-handed or just doesn't bring much, like about saying basic stuff. I don't think it brings much value. So it's still good that it's there. No, it's been printed, so every little thing helps the course. So yeah, all in all, still okay. To me, the biggest effect was that the tension built up is rapidly non-existent and useless because we get spoiled very early on, and the spoiler part plays no role in the story, and I think it could have been omitted and we could have had some more suspense throughout the journey. And like for a suspense book, if you know the ending, like on page 50, like there's no point. So that was, I think, one of the biggest problems. Then I listened to Helter Skelter, The True Story of the Mentioned Murders by Vincent Bugliosi. So this was a non-fiction about one of the most gruesome crime in US history. This was the Sean Tate murder, like by the Manson family. And this has been written by the, I think you call it the DA. It's the case that is loosely used in Tarantino's latest movie, Once Upon a Time. It's an interesting deep dive into the investigation, so how long it actually took, the trial and motivation behind it, and how the family really worked. Manson got in the mind of like young, impressionable people, so mostly girls, and how we just molded them into basically becoming killers. You should be one that you need to be like really interested in this, because it's like 700 pages and the book is almost 30 hours, so like this is like quite a commitment to make. A Small Place by Jamaica Kincaid. It's an eye-opening essay that I read in a single sitting. I knew next to nothing on Antigua when I started, so I thought at first that it would be like a really fresh essay, like to discover the island, but from the start it a bit slaps you in like reality, and it touches on a lot of heavy subjects like mass tourism, the aftermath of being ruled by the United Kingdom, racism, corruption, and it's far from a travel guide in a sense, but it's more of a guide on the whole mindset and the issues that are often overlooked in these parts of the world. We usually, as Westerners, like mostly white people, we just go there on holidays and expect just like to be served, I don't know, in the hotels on the white beach and stuff, and we don't look past the wall. I think it should be read by everyone, so before going there, so it should be mandatory on the plane. Next up was the worst ride of the month, Mrs Dalloway by Virginia Woolf. Two scenes are absolute skip. So yeah, I mean, you have to be good to write interesting stuff about mundane life, and this was really bland and slow paced and just boring. I think if you want a Victorian, like if you want a story set in the Victorian era, just grab any Austen novel and it will just blow this out of Mansfield Park. Next up we have Diary of a Genius by Salvator Dali. So this one is journal entries from 1952 to 1963, with some years just having a couple of entries or even just one entry. So for example, for 1954, you get a little of the note and you go into the next year. But it contains like cool insights into how he worked, so, and his day-to-day life, and how he would work on the same piece for like a few months or a few weeks, and how he got like his ideas and his inspiration. So that's a really interesting part, and you will be surprised because it jumps from topic to topic, like almost at random, and will cover also weird topics, to say the least. So there are a lot of references to the Nazis or scatophilia stuff, so to be prepared for some weird moments. And yeah, all in all, it's pretty funny, and you have to take it like with a step back. So if you were yourself an artist full of yourself and basically humble bragging and a bit flexing with your memories. The last one was Sabrina, Occult Edition, so the comic book by Roberto Aguirre Sacasa that inspired the Netflix TV show about Sabrina the Teenage Witch. So it's dark and really gruesome, but it has really funny moments, and it's a nice introduction to the universe. We see some guest appearance from the Riverdale characters. We see Jughead, Betty, Veronica. I think we see Archie at some point. So you don't know, there's like a shared universe in the Archie comics. Sabrina's cousin Ambrose is still the best. And Mia Silent is also has a lot of one-liners and punchlines and still there to help her. Okay, that was it for this month. So total I think 13 books. Don't hesitate to point out any mistakes in the comments, share, subscribe, follow me on Goodreads, on Instagram, and see you in the next one. Take care, bye.